Hello, everyone. My name is Ryan Cam, and welcome back to the 1999 Project, where I try and fail to review every movie from the year 1999. Starting things off with a movie that was honestly more difficult of a watch than I could have ever predicted. It is The General's Daughter.
Then you'll know everything, won't you?
The General's Daughter was directed by Simon West, who 2 years prior directed the piece of cinematic gold known as Con Air.
Put the bunny back in the box.
And the movie starred John Travolta and the Jameses of Cromwell and Woods. It tells the story of a CID investigator, played by Travolta, who is investigating the murder and assault, for lack of a better word, of a soldier on a military base, specifically the daughter of a very, very famous general, one who is eyeing at a bid for the vice presidency of the United States. However, the more the agent digs into the case, the more he realizes that there is a lot more foul play than meets the eye.
Things that make you go, "Ugh."
This was a movie that I thought I knew what it was going to be going into it. I was thinking, okay, John Travolta's in a movie with Simon West. There's going to be some action. It's going to be late 90s cheese action. I'm here for it. Let's do it. There's a little bit of that, but oh man, there is so much more to this movie than this. This is one of those movies. This is one of those movies that is a little difficult to review because of the subject material that is at play here. To put it rather gently, this movie deals with grape, but the G is silent. And not only does it deal with grape, but the G is silent, it also has a very graphic scene in which the assault in question is shown. And it's done in a way where it's like the very late 90s, very fast-cutting, light-changing, very much like in the Michael Bay style of filmmaking. Simon West and Michael Bay are often considered very similar in terms of their filmmaking styles. And the crux of the movie is John Travolta's character trying to figure out who is behind the cover-up of this assault. And it's all a little more difficult than I was expecting it to be. Let me just start off by saying that the movie is pretty solid in terms of its quality. Everyone is giving their all in terms of performances. John Travolta is very good in his role. He has an agent with him as his partner, I guess, named Agent Sunhill. She is very good. The Jameses of Cromwell and Woods are predictably good in their respective roles. The movie looks surprisingly good. Simon West does a good job of making the movie look very nice. Like, very much in that Michael Bay, very big, bold, visual style of filmmaking. But your likability or hateability of this movie is really going to come down to your tolerance for subject material such as this. The nearest thing that I can compare this movie to is Wind River from 2017. It was directed by Taylor Sheridan, who also wrote the screenplay for Sicario and also directed Hell or High Water, both of which I recommend, and is the main creative force behind Yellowstone. Wind River also deals with grape, with the G being silent, and it deals with very difficult source material, and it also does not help things that the movie was produced by the Weinstein Company and released in 2017. And if they were giving out gold medals for bad timing, then Wind River would look like Michael Phelps at the end of the 2008 Summer Olympics. The point I'm trying to get at with The General's Daughter is that when the scene comes, the assault scene in question comes about, it is genuinely stomach-churning. I've seen quite a few horror movies, especially in the past year, that I'm just like, okay, that's all well and good. But when this scene happens, I was not prepared, and you will not be prepared either. And don't get me wrong, there is creative license taken with not directly actually showing it, but the implications there are grim, to say the least. And then when you add on to it the implications of what James Cromwell's character does and what the assaultee in question, the titular general's daughter, does after the assault, and basically what leads to the titular murder, it can be very difficult. That is my point. I see no other option but to play the Roger Ebert clip here.
But I admire what he did, and I hate it.
I'm going to give this a good rating because this is a very well-made movie, but man, this is one of the more difficult movies I've had to cover for this project. Your mileage is definitely going to vary. I give it a recommendation only with the big ol' asterisk of considering the source material. If you're sensitive to that kind of thing, you might want to stay away from this one. But let's cleanse the palate a little bit and talk about an infinitely more fun movie, Run, Lola, Run. Run, Lola, Run was directed by Tom Tykwer, and it starred Franka Potente, and it was released in Germany in 1998, but got an American release in 1999. It tells the story of a couple, one of whom is played by Franka Potente of the Bourne franchise fame. She was Marie Kreutz. The titular Lola and her boyfriend are in bad with a local crime group. Basically, they have to come up with 100,000 marks, which is their money, in about 20 minutes. It's a nearly impossible task. But Lola, through a lot of running, tries to find a way to procure the money. And the movie presents it in a way that you see the various scenarios in which Lola interacts with the situation and the world around her. This movie was an awards darling. It got a lot of Sundance love, and overall, critics really loved this one. I didn't know what to expect from this one. I didn't even watch a trailer for it. But I thought this movie was pretty good, and honestly, I dare say it's pretty underrated. Franka Potente is the best part of the movie. She definitely has a bit of a Mila Jovovich from Fifth Element vibe going on with how she looks in the movie. I had to convince myself that this was not Mila Jovovich for a couple of seconds, but she is really good in the movie. She does a lot of running. As a runner myself, I admire the commitment there. The movie looks like it was made on about $5, and I don't mean that as an insult. The guerrilla style of filmmaking, honestly, made the movie pretty appealing to me. I'm glad the movie, with a concept like this, didn't take itself too seriously. There's a sense of we know the movie, we know what we're trying to do here, and we're not trying to waste your time. This movie is 81 minutes long, and the movie flies by. Lola's boyfriend in the movie is played by, and I'm going to read his name so I don't get it wrong, Moritz Bleibtreu. And he is really good in the movie too. The two, without going on a diatribe about how much they love each other, it is very clear that they do in fact love each other. The movie does a good job of also showing that they are outcasts and they pretty much have nothing else but each other. So when the crap hits the fan with the 100,000, it's a make or break situation. And your mileage is going to vary with this movie when it comes to the whole side of things where the movie portrays the several different scenarios in which this run takes place. There are instances where Lola gets to the meeting place where she and her boyfriend say to meet up. They end up getting the money and they walk off into the sunset. However, there are others where they don't get the money in time. They try to rob a convenience store and it goes completely wrong for them. The movie is kind of like Clue in the sense that the ending is left entirely up to you. And for me personally, I like that. I like the spirit of that. This could have so easily been a conventional heist movie, but I give this one a hearty recommendation. I'm going to give it a great rating. I think that there is room for this to be in the severely underrated side of things for this project. I think when I do my hidden gems for this at the end of the year, Run Lola Run will be in the conversation. But let's close things out by going from an 80-minute heist movie to a 90-minute Adam Sandler comedy. And I have a special guest joining me for this one. It's Big Daddy.
Hey, you.
What?
Big Daddy.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, yeah, that's good. Trick or treat.
Big Daddy was directed by Dennis Dugan, and it starred Adam Sandler, Leslie Mann, Jon Stewart, and the Sprouse twins of Cole and Dylan. They play the same role. And it tells the story of a man named Sonny Koufax, played by Sandler. He is, to put it generously, a slacker. But to impress his then girlfriend, he adopts a child. Not the stupidest thing that I've seen somebody do in a movie to impress a woman, but the child's name is Julian, played by the Sprouse twins. It's interchanged. But as their relationship grows, Sonny becomes more mature. And to talk about this movie with me, I got on the closest thing to an Adam Sandler expert that I could find. He's a dear friend of mine. He is a he is the grand poobah of the movie trivia universe that I'm a part of. He loves Sandler so much that one of the team names that he is a part of is called Shampoo is Better, which is a direct reference to Billy Madison. It is Jordan Pierce Owens, aka JPO. JPO, thank you for joining me.
Absolutely. Yes, closest thing to a Sandler expert. I'll take it. Sure, why not? Shabba do to you, good sir.
But thank you for joining me. And I, I
Absolutely. Thanks
got
for having me.
I gotta say, when it comes to this movie, I had seen it before. I'm glad I watched it again because I remembered nothing about it. Adam Sandler is one of those actors that I've made jokes about. I will freely admit that, but I've liked a lot some of the movies that he has been a part of. Like I love Hotel Transylvania, I love Click. I'm glad I rewatched this because it's actually pretty good. It was better than I was expecting.
No, I mean I'm a big Adam Sandler fan. I'm 100% on his filmography. I just did a ranking recently, actually, with Chad, where we actually kind of combined our scores and like did a complete ranking of every single Sandler film. And I think it helped because I'm a '90s kid too, so I organically grew up with Billy Madison, with Happy Gilmore, and yeah, he's kind of I think it's because of the '90s. That's why I am still a Sandler completionist. Because yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and say there isn't bad Sandler films. There's absolutely bad Sandler films. There's definitely mediocre ones, and there's great ones here. I think this is probably lower A tier for me, like kind of Sandler here. It's not in my top three, but it's close. It's definitely my top 10. I think. I think it handles it's lines that harden there a little bit here, but it's also continuously pretty funny. Yeah, I've always enjoyed this too. This is maybe the first theater experience. It's either this or Little Nicky. The other ones were definitely just at home watches. So this is also maybe being the first theater experience. Also kind of holds a special place in my heart. Yeah, and it's always been a big rewatch too.
The thing about this movie that I did enjoy is that Sandler he's really likable in this. Like there are several occasions where I was like, yeah, in another movie you would be annoying, but here I really like you. I can't put my finger on why, but I just it's strange. He's basically jobless. He took the bar exam or it hasn't taken the bar exam. His dad like rags on him to like you need to get a job. Like he works at he's like a toll taker on a bridge, I think. I believe that's the technical term. So in another movie, he would be unlikable, but here I think he's I think he's a really cool guy. I mean, irresponsible for sure, but I think over the course of the movie, one of the things that I liked the most was that starts in one place, and then by the end, he's someone completely different. He was nominated for a Razzie, he being Sandler. He was nominated for a Razzie for Worst Actor. I'm like, are you serious? Hate Sandler all you want, but I mean, he was good in this. Like, I don't know what Razzies were on.
Yeah, no, that's just a hating him to hate him kind of thing here because obviously I wasn't really looking at the Razzies at this point in my life when I'm 9. So yeah, that's kind of a fun thing to look back on because that's one I don't think that holds up at all. I think that's just simply nominating him for nominating him because yeah, just no. I think you kind of nailed it on the head. It's one of the things that totally works here is this is a character that I think a slightly different writing and maybe a slightly different performance you would not like, but you are always kind of charmed by him. You know what I mean? Like at first, even when he is, it's kind of like, at the beginning of the movie here where he is very much a He's lazy. You hear from the dad that like, he only does the toll booth thing, like it's super part time. He's kind of giving up on being a lawyer, maybe. Like he's still not a bad guy. He's still well intended. He's still, you know what I mean, still kind of funny and nice. And then, like you said, then he finally kind of starts to learn a little bit more here. He adapts. He truly grows to be fond of Julian. I think they have really fun chemistry, and he grows. You know, what I mean, it goes from him letting him not wash and pick his own names, and like, all right, maybe let's get to bath time, and maybe let's do this, and and there's an inherent charm to him that I think it does make things work. Even like to go back on to Billy Madison, I think that works, and I think that would be a really dumb role in other people's hands. But I think Sandler finds a way in movies like this. Just he's charming. I think it works.
I want to impress upon everybody watching that at the start of the movie, like Sonny Koufax's literal, like, kind of credo, I guess, is that if he sees a mess, he throws some newspaper on top of it and just ignores it. And then by the end, he is just someone completely different. That's progression right there. I've seen comedies do much less with something like that, but Sandler's character starts in one place, and then by the end, he's like an entirely new man, and I enjoyed watching that. Like he's a bit immature, sure, but I think that was kind of the point. And it's the heart of the matter. Like Sonny Koufax is a slacker, but he's a slacker with a heart of gold. Like he gets like the scene where he and Julian are rushing to McDonald's, and they miss the breakfast by like a half an hour. I could tell that he was willing to get the sausage McMuffin for the homeless guy. By the way, played by Steve Buscemi. His role is brief, but I popped. I was like, "Whoa, that's Steve Buscemi."
Another definitely this and Billy Madison are maybe my two favorite Buscemi cameos. Yeah.
Yeah, it took me by surprise. I was sitting there like, "That's Nucky Thompson."
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that's a great part. Somebody get the kid a Happy Meal. And then it pays off too. It's a great callback too, in the court scene where he's kind of rambling, and then just a little brief aside of him showing Buscemi that he's got the McDonald's ready for him to kind of keep him on track. So it's a good callback too as well that pays off.
I love the scene in the McDonald's, the first one, where he's like, "Someone get the kid a Happy Meal," and the dude's like, "Nice parenting." And like, "Yeah, go take a walk," and he throws his fries off the tray
Just
over the.
chuck it right.
That was so funny to me. I don't know why, but it's like, yeah, screw you. Like, I just love that scene so much.
It's I think stuff like that also kind of works. It also reminds me of the Halloween scene where the guy's ignoring him, and he more or less commits a pretty big crime of
Yeah,
breaking and entering, and steals his stuff kind of in a way. But like you laugh and it works because you're just like, oh, I would love to do something like that. You know what I mean? I would love to treat an asshole like that.
yeah, that's at least a lawsuit. But in this movie, it's just like, yep, that seems like something Sonny Koufax would
He
do.
totally commits a couple of crimes. Yeah.
But there's more than Adam Sandler to this movie. You got Jon Stewart in this movie. I want to assume before The Daily Show.
Yeah.
Took me by surprise to see him. I was
I
like,
mean,
oh,
the dude was a bit of he was an actor. They're both in Mixed Nuts a few years prior. I mean, you got the faculty, got the Smoochie, so James Allen Bob's right back. Even there's others. So yeah, no, Stewart was kind of I think kind of a working side actor, and then once the Daily Show kind of took off, um, I don't think he's ever done anything acting since other than cameos as himself.
it's interesting. It's like seeing like Jimmy Fallon in Fever Pitch, and he's the star of that movie. It's
Yeah,
like you associate him with
yeah.
one thing for so long. You see him in anything else, it's like, what? Like it's
No,
a different.
and that's the weird thing because like for me again, I think I'm a little bit older than you, I believe. So like I'm actually kind of used to because again I knew Fallon as a performer. I knew him as the SNL guy who broke a lot and then was a bit of an actor. He's also in that horror movie Taxi with Queen Latifah. He's in Almost Famous. I think he's the manager or something like that. He's actually pretty good in that. So like yeah, that's kind of how I knew him originally. They kind of transitioned, and now Conan O'Brien doing the opposite. Now I think Conan started act.
Yeah, exactly. And then you got the Sprouse twins, well, Cole and Dylan Sprouse. I always knew them as the kids from The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, but this was, I believe, their first roles. And then they would
Yeah,
they
this and Friends. They're David Schwimmer's kids and Friends. or
Oh,
kid slash kids.
I did not know that. I have never seen
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but
So yeah, that's right around the same time. I think they have Friends does predate because like they're pretty young on their first appearance in Friends. But yeah, and then it's this Before Sweet Life. Yeah,
it's interesting because Julian wants to be called Frankenstein, and it's funny because
Before
Cole
Sweet Life.
Sprouse this year starred in a movie called Lisa Frankenstein,
Oh, never thought about
where he
that.
essentially plays Frankenstein's monster. So I love the full
Yeah,
circleness of that.
full circle. No, no, I never thought about that. And but fun fact, I know somebody that's friends with one of them. I can't remember if it's Cole or Dylan, but I have a friend of a friend, and I want to figure out who said I can wipe my own ass. Whose take is that? Is it Cole or is it Dylan? Because I always thought the delivery was perfect. So I am very gung ho on figuring out which one of them delivered that line.
Yeah, JPO has famous friends. He knows a lot of wrestlers too.
I know a lot of wrestlers. I don't have any much famous acting friends. Like I said, I know a guy who knows a guy in this case.
It's like Saul Goodman. I know a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy. Leslie Mann is also in the movie, and I thought she was really good. Th this is a solid cast overall. Like, it would be easy to think that this was just a Sandler joint, and he is in a large chunk of it. He's the star. But there are a lot, but everyone does their roles really well here.
Absolutely. No, he's always done pretty good, I think, of picking a good cast or having the right people around him. You got his regulars, John Lofgren, Peter Dante, Alan Covert are in there briefly, kind of as his lawyer friends. I even kind of like too that a weird kind of brief aside. I like the fact that a couple of them are gay, and that's not really a focus. That's just kind of a nice side thing. Like, yeah, our friends are gay. Who cares? You know what I mean? I like that it was because it's kind of progressive in a weird way in like '99 just to have that kind of off to the side. I like that that's just kind of in there. Of course, Rob Schneider popping up as the delivery guy. You want cheesecake?
He is
His
offensive
outfit popping up.
he is offensive to some ethnic community. I'm not entirely sure which one.
I know Schneider is very pro, like, actors should be able to act. And I think there's a fine line. And, like, we won't get too far into that. That's a whole deep discussion for another time.
Sure.
Um, and I do think, at least in this one, like, I now, when I'm just talking layer character, do you know what I'm referring to?
I believe so, yeah.
So that one is just straight up offensive and should be like deleted. Like that's just it's not very funny. It's straight up him just trying to be like an Asian character from the 50s. Like it's not funny. Here at least I think he's trying to argue for it. Like it's a nice character. He's a nice guy. He's just kind of funny. Maybe yeah, you could argue maybe it should have been done because he's not that race or whatever it is. But at least here, I don't know. It works a little bit more than some of the other ones.
Made over $200 million, 234
Nice.
exact. So is a very nice take in on a $34 million budget. I think this movie would
Yeah.
just be like a Netflix release today, but it made so
Maybe.
much.
But I mean, that shows you the power of Sandler for a little while there. That he was truly a box office draw, and this is the reason why studios loved him too. Because on paper, this is a pretty easy concept. Like you said, this is a $30 million movie. Like probably that went to shutting down the park a little bit. Because there's several park scenes. Um, I know this is now going back to the plot, but I always found it funny that he's kind of like he's a slacker, doesn't have a job, but man, his apartment or his loft or whatever is absolutely gorgeous and spatial, and would definitely cost a lot of money in real life.
Especially in New York City. I was sitting there thinking to
Oh my
myself,
god,
he is unemployed, and yet he lives in like what I imagine Tony Stark would eventually live in.
yeah. No, he's living in like a mansion, like not a mansion, but like something that you have to pay a good amount for. Oh my god, it's so nice and spacious.
There's nothing in this movie that I outright hated, which is surprising. I mean, the Schneider parts to me, like, I mean, it just aged poorly. I didn't hate it, but I just sitting there
Mm.
like, yeah, that would never fly today, but I didn't hate it. I think overall, this was just really solid. I can't really think of anything bad about it per se. I don't know about you.
No, bad. I mean, and even like the Schneider thing, maybe because I kind of just grew up not even thinking about that. It was what it was, and I laughed at Pop Anonymous. Even when he sees like the social worker later on. Which, by the way, have you seen Billy Madison?
Not for a while, no.
I was gonna say, but do you remember the teacher who was the former wrestler or the
I
principal?
I think so. Like I said, it's been a minute. I need to
He's
watch.
the social worker in this. He's a Sandler. He's in a couple Sandler ones.
Oh, really?
So that's the same dude.
He's Brooks, right?
Yeah. The main social worker that he talks with. Yeah, yeah. So no, I just always thought that was funny because he looks different like from Billy Madison. Because here he's got like facial hair and whatnot. Billy Madison he's very clean shaven. And but anyway, like even like that, like replies was like, oh wait, you're the one guy that orders like three cheesecake every Tuesday or something like that. Like he has some funny like throwaway lines. Yeah, other than that, like no, I mean I think this it definitely has laughs. I mean, like I said, it has the heart. Like you truly see the bond of him and Julian growing. I mean, it goes from he's basically using the kid at first just to get back Buffy, Christy Swanson, and then it grows to like him truly caring for the kid, um, and wanting to keep him. Because the first he's even willing to give him up at one point early on, and then he fights to keep him, and then at the end, like I said, that scene, man, I can wipe my own ass. Like it sounds super silly, but it works. You know what I mean? Like you feel the kid's pain, you feel his pain. He sells it kind of perfectly. And then the courtroom stuff is I think is a great blend of humor and but then even the gravitas. Like I like the stuff with the dad. He kind of finally convinces his dad, like, I won't let that happen. You know what I mean? Like I love him too much. And then everyone then going, can I call my dad? Can I murder your cell phone? Like it's heart and humor, kind of blended in well, and that's the best Sandler stuff too. Is I go back to like a Wedding Singer, like that one works really well in the drama, romance, and then a comedy department, and also a nice little sweet romance too. So smoother in the middle here with Joey Lauren Adams.
I'd be hard pressed to find anyone in like comedy in the comedy movie space in the mid to late 90s that had a better period than that of Adam Sandler. I think this
Yeah,
was like peak Adam Sandler from like 95 or 6 to like 2000. I think he was just on fire. Like Happy Gilmore. I
absolutely.
know you brought up Billy Madison a bunch of times. I'm sure I'm missing a few, but I don't think there's been
So
a more steady.
he's a killer. He's a killer in the '90s. I think Airheads is a good first example. He's kind of second fiddle to Brendan Fraser to a degree, but then it's Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore. It's Waterboy, which is also pretty good. Maybe it's the end of the list, but still there. Big Daddy and Wedding Singer. It's a killer five in my opinion. That's
I
a killer
almost
five within like 5 years.
Yeah, I almost forgot about Airheads. Airheads is really good. But
Airheads is a lot of fun, and I think slightly underseen. If you haven't seen Airheads, definitely check it out. Yeah, that's I think where he first, I would imagine, maybe meets Buscemi, was starts a big before.
I agree. But on my rating scale, I'm gonna give Big Daddy, I'm gonna give Big Daddy a great rating. This was just a lot of fun. It had a lot of heart. It was funny. Like I did not expect to enjoy this as much on rewatch, but it was just I really enjoyed this more than I expected to. But JPO, thank you so much for joining me to talk about Big Daddy. I hope to bring you back on
Absolutely,
sometime. You've got a lot going on trivia
sure.
wise and WWT wise. I'm going to put all your links in the description. What do you have coming up?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you mentioned the two major things here, of course, over at the Pierce Co. Pierce, like you're gonna pierce your ear. The Pierce Co. We always do lots of movie trivia here. You can find Jacob on that, including coming up in the next, I don't know, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe next week. I don't know. We'll figure it out. The semifinals. Jacob's made it all the way to the semifinals of the yearly tag team tournament here. It's not surprising. Him and Eric really good team, and actually both leagues. We'll get to that in a second. So catch that, and then of course the finals. And then also we just do random games throughout the week as well. So there's always at least something happening, even if we're not going to get to the semifinals this week. Um, and then yeah, other also on that show we also do top tens. We do drafts sometimes. We might start doing some tournament stuff. And then over at Pierce Wrestling, yeah, similar ideas. We got some wrestling trivia. Jacob and Eric have done great over there. They're in tag champs. We also have exclusive interviews, exclusive matches over there as well. So we like pro wrestling, check that out. And then all of our other friends here, whether it's Movie Hero Network, Why We Love Horror, Cineplex, Take Three, Combat Wrestling Trivia over on Twitch with Chris Cass. And I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody, but yeah, lots of fun stuff happening around the webs.
Yeah, those links will all be in the description. Go give him a subscribe there. JPO is like the hardest working man like in the YouTube trivia space. So give him some love. And as far as this channel goes, if you liked what you've seen, leave a like, subscribe, click the bell for notifications as the 1999 project rolls on. As we close out the month of June, which is just insane to think about, but here we are. But for JPO, my name is Ryan Cam. We will see you all in the next one. Y'all take care.